The Fight Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN and get a free Refs Are Terrorists t-shirt. Claim your shirt at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs. We're also brought to you by NYRA Bets. Get your $25 free bet for the Belmont by going to nyrabets.com/SGPN25 and the promo code SGPN25. You are listening to The Fight Show here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, covering tomorrow night's WWE Money in the Bank PLE, or pay-per-view if you prefer. You can follow the Sports Gambling Podcast Network on X at the SGP Network. That's at the SGP Network. You can also follow me on X. I am the host of the Soccer Gambling Podcast, and you can follow me on my Soccer Gambling Podcast X account at SGP Soccer. That's at SGP Soccer. Be sure to get all your free picks and podcasts for the Stanley Cup, College Baseball's World Series, the NBA Finals, and the FIFA Club World Cup as well on that SGPN app. Get it wherever you get your apps. It really is the easiest way to make sure you never miss any of our free picks or any of our free pods. If you're looking for additional free picks and free pods from me, head over to YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts and search for Lock Betting. That will give you free access to the Lock Betting podcast and to the Lock Betting YouTube channel as well. Now, I know I've been saying this for a while, but I will be back on YouTube shortly. I'm looking to get back on there next week. That's one of the main reasons I'm out here in LA. Now, I'll tell you this quick story because otherwise this show's not going to be very long, because WWE continue to do 4-match cards, which makes it very difficult to fill out these shows without waffling. But this is a funny story. So I'm in LA now. While I'm here, I'm going to work. I'm going to do a studio preview for the FIFA Club World Cup. Then I'm going to divert over to Vegas. I'm going to obviously watch WWE Money in the Bank tomorrow, but then I'm going to divert over to Vegas and I'm going to do a Club World Cup preview for VSiN. And then I'm going to come back to LA and watch the Club World Cup games that I always intended to watch, which is PSG versus Atletico Madrid. I'm going to watch Inter Milan in action, and then I'm going to watch PSG in action again against Botafogo. So I was always intending to do that stint, but I've got here a week early to watch WWE Money in the Bank and to collect a phone that I left in Vegas during WrestleMania weekend. And that phone is logged into my YouTube. Now, I've tried to do a password reset, but the account that YouTube is logged to, that is logged in with, was an email that I set up for my son Austin. So my son Austin could have an email and a PayPal account so that he could sell Chinese football shirts at school and on eBay. I encourage him to do things like this because I think it's important for kids to understand real life business, not what they teach you in school, because the maths in school is primarily pointless. We're still doing algebra, we're still doing simultaneous equations, we're still doing Pythagoras' theorem. You're never going to need any of that shit in real life. You are going to need to know how P&L works. You are going to need to know about spreadsheets. You are going to need to know how to pay your taxes. Obviously, he's not paying taxes at 14, but I have no issue with him selling whatever he needs to sell. As long as he's buying, as long as he's selling, he's learning more on the streets than he's learning at school. So, long story short, that PayPal was logged to an email address. I can't get into the email address because I cannot remember the fake date of birth that we used for him to have an email address. So I can't get past the security questions because obviously a lot of them were made up, and he answered some of them and he can't remember his own answers. So that means I can't log into the YouTube on a different device, and therefore I need to get back that device and just log straight in and redo things that help me get back onto the lock betting YouTube so I can start again next week, or hopefully even sooner. The reason I left my phone in Vegas is because when we were leaving Las Vegas, which is a movie, by the way, you can check out, but when we were leaving Las Vegas, and our trip was very different to Nicolas Cage's, we were offered the chance to fly 4 hours later and fly to Charlotte instead of flying directly to London. We were offered the opportunity to fly to Charlotte and then to fly to London from Charlotte, and we would be given $750 each to do that. So we were going to get $1,500 of travel vouchers just to get to London 4 hours later. So we said that we would take it because the flight that we were on was very full. It was oversold. So we took that offer. We took the $1,500 in compensation. We were not in a rush to get back to London. We were quite happy to fly to Charlotte and overall arrive home to London 4 hours later. So the flight to Charlotte, I think, was 90 minutes later. And from Charlotte, we were going to go to London. Anyway, we're sitting at the gate and I'm charging my phone. I'm getting shit out of my bags. I'm relaxing. I know that I've got an hour and a half to kill at the airport. And the lady comes over and says to us that you need to get on the plane. I was like, but you told us we weren't on the plane. She was like, yeah, we've done our final checks and there are some seats available and now you need to get on the plane. So I'm calling my son saying, come back, don't go and get Chick-fil-A or wherever he was going. We need to actually get on the plane. They've said that we're not going to Charlotte now and we have to get on the plane. So we packed up our shit, ran onto the plane, and I left my phone on charge. Now, I immediately realised this and called up my phone, which was answered by a member of staff. And they said that they would be taking my phone across to Lost and Found at the airport. To which I said to them, why don't you just bring the fucking thing onto the phone? And they said they weren't allowed to do it. I asked the American Airlines cabin crew if I could leave the plane to go and get it, seeing as it was just 90 seconds away. And they said, no, you're not allowed to leave the aircraft. I asked the cabin crew to leave the aircraft. They said they weren't allowed to leave the aircraft. So between these American Airlines staff members, they would not let me retrieve my phone. Instead, it had to go to Lost and Found. And when I contacted Lost and Found, it was $390 to send it back to the UK. So knowing that I was coming to LA anyway, I decided to come here a week earlier and to have the phone instead sent to the Sports Gambling Podcast Network studio, which instead cost $60. And I decided to go without that phone for a couple of months. Now, I'd already not been on the YouTube because I was taking a break from it because I had a medical issue. I was involved in an accident. I was overcoming a minor concussion at the end of January. So I was having a break from it anyway. And things have just snowballed and gone against the YouTube ever coming back and being a thing. But it will be a thing. I will not let circumstances win. And there will be a lock betting YouTube. And it will be re-established next week, if not sooner. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And I will be looking to get back onto that and do some videos for you guys, namely the K100 sports shows. But if nobody watches it, there's no point doing it. And that was the issue last time out. It wasn't exactly motivating when you had less than 100 people watching your videos. And given the number of people that listen to this show, that's ridiculous. And given the amount of money I've won people, whether it be here on a fight show or whether it be on the Soccer Gambling Podcast, people really should be engaging with the additional content. But if you want all of my official plays that go towards my spreadsheet that come from my service that has delivered 144 months in a row of transparent and tracked profit, head over to the website lockbetting.com. It's tracked and transparent because there are actual spreadsheets. That's something that you cannot associate to the fantasy cappers that you see over on X. If you're giving your money to people on Twitter, you're going to be on a long and winding road to losing that money. If you sign up for lock betting, whatever month you would have signed up, you would have made money because we've never had a losing month. We've existed now for 12 years. We existed for 144 months. That was the magic number. And we have 144 months of tracked and transparent profit, verified by spreadsheets, which are verified by existing members. You can see these spreadsheets at lockbetting.com, which is also the same place you can sign up, or you can go to the Instagram. We've made it even easier. The Instagram is a hub for everything that we do. You can see the latest spreadsheets there. You can see the top the latest three, pins to the top of the page. And they're posted via screenshots, so you can see all of the spreadsheets clearly, along with the monthly recap. It's a hub for everything we do. The Instagram, as I said, it's at Lock Betting. You can see the spreadsheets, you can see the free plays, you can see information videos, and you can contact me if you have any questions. If you don't have Instagram, reach out to me on the X account, which I've already mentioned, which is at SGP Soccer. That's at SGP Soccer. So let's move on to Money in the Bank and this 4-match card. This is not proving to be popular with people. TKO are not proving to be popular with people. These 4-match cards are basically just long matches. So the unpredictability element is gone because you know there isn't going to be a quick squash or anything like that. So it's always 4, maybe 5 long matches, and they're loaded with ad breaks and commercials and sponsorships. Even the ring is littered with sponsors, something that never happened under Vince McMahon's tenure. And this TKO takeover is proving very unpopular, and it's piling pressure onto Triple H, who's in charge of things now. We've seen a massive decline in ratings on Netflix. The product hasn't been particularly good. And I'm going to address all of this over on the Dirty Sheets. Now, there is a paywall version of the Dirty Sheets you can subscribe to. There's a Patreon, and that will give you all of the inside news. But this is going to be a free show. So search for the Dirty Sheets podcast, and the latest episode that I'm going to drop in the next 24 hours is going to look at this entire TKO situation, including the feud between The Rock and Triple H. So I'm going to address everything and give my opinions on it. And that's going to be a free show that you can get by searching for the Dirty Sheets podcast. Let's begin with what WWE are calling the main event, though. It's a match between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso going up against John Cena and Logan Paul, a tag team match where Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso have moved to favourites at 1-2 minus 200, and Cena and Logan Paul are at 6-4 plus 150. Paul and Cena opened up as minus 400 favourites. Now, when I see line movement like this, I think it's quite clear that the favourites are winning. Cody Rhodes needs a win. He lost a lot of momentum at WrestleMania by losing to John Cena. And John Cena can afford to take a pinfall loss here in this match, setting up a future rematch against Cody Rhodes. Now, that seems like the obvious result, and that's going to be my pick here. But these are my concerns. Number 1, Cody Rhodes and John Cena doesn't need to happen next. If Cody Rhodes pins John Cena, that is your main event for SummerSlam. Now, I think it's far more likely that Cena drops the belt in his final match. I think there's more jeopardy on the line if Cena heads to Boston and says, if I win this final match, then I am going to retire as the last world champion. That's the whole shtick that he's doing. Now, if you lose at SummerSlam to Cody Rhodes, it does give John Cena time to turn back to a babyface and retire as a babyface in Boston, which is probably something WWE have considered. But I do think it's a much better storyline if you ride it all the way to December and there's real jeopardy on that final match in Boston. Is he going to retire as the last world champion, or is he going to drop the belt in his final ever match in Boston? For me, that's a much better way to go. But if they decide they want to turn John Cena back, then Cody Rhodes can win this, say pin John Cena and get his title match at SummerSlam. It just begs the question, what do you then do with the next show, which is in Saudi Arabia? So very interesting stuff. Also, Logan Paul took a loss against Jey Uso. Does he now need a win to get himself a future title match? So there are a lot of question marks there. And are we doing the Jey Usos taking too much on, spreading himself too thin, putting too much on his plate, and looking past Gunther, who he faces on Monday in Arizona on Raw? And are we going to put Jey Uso in a position where he loses another match, maybe aided by Gunther or aided by Seth Rollins' crew, which are still unnamed? Lots of ways this one could go. For me, is a genuine 50-50. I don't think there was absolutely no value on Cena and Paul at minus 400. The opening line was ridiculous, but now it's swung the other way. And whilst it's not minus 400, I don't think there's any value on Cody Rhodes or Jey Uso either. So I'm going to pass, but I'm also going to pick every match. And I do think Cody and Jey Uso is the most likely outcome as the odds reflect, the new odds reflect, at a price of 1-2 minus 200 here for this one. Before we move on to those Money in the Bank matches and the Women's Intercontinental title match between Becky and Lyra Valkyria, Let me take this quick pause to tell you guys that EdgeBoost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. And if you sign up this week, you'll get that free Refs a Terrorist t-shirt I've already mentioned. So go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs to claim your free t-shirt. Let me also tell you guys here about Underdog Fantasy because they're going long for the NBA Finals with their extender bonus. Hop in on game one, and the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. And we're already in a good position with that because the Pacers have won game one as an underdog. I have a future on the Pacers and we're off to a great start. I don't think they'll win. I always felt like they would take it to 6, but I do think OKC will end up winning in the end. But now there's a really good chance it could go to 7. And in fact, there's a chance the Pacers could win it all. I think the futures odds at the moment are ridiculous. For OKC to lose that first game at home and to start off as a minus 600 favourite to win the series, and for that to only move to minus 350, that is absolutely ridiculous. No value on that at all and very disrespectful to the Pacers. So if you want to get involved, Underdog, sign up with the promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Go to underdogfantasy.com and use that promo code SGPN. Let me also tell you guys here about NYRA Bets. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting started, NYRA Bets make it easier to jump in on the action. You can claim your free $25 Belmont bet today as well by going to nyrabets.com/SGPN25. Let me also utilise this pause to tell you guys about the Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football giveaway. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas are giving away the Ultimate Football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and to be treated like VIPs for your entire stay. We're talking about a limo ride from the airport, a $500 tab for stadium swim, and a hotel stay for you and 11 of your mates if you have 11 mates. If not, take me. I am available to go. And you can enter the Ultimate Fantasy Football contest for free at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. Let me also utilise this pause to tell you guys about Rhythm. You've heard us talk about Rhythm before, but they've also now dropped their game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Power Trends are updated daily. They're exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean, data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app and check out Power Trends and start betting smarter. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm for your 7-day trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM Rhythm. And finally, we're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA Finals, including WWE Money in the Bank. So head over to MyBookie.ag and get yourself a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. But if you want to bet on Money in the Bank, head over to mybookie.ag and use that promo code SGPN. So moving on, we're going to break down these WWE Money in the Bank matches. We'll begin with the men's match, and this is where Seth Rollins is a heavy favourite to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. He's priced up at 1-2 minus 200. That's come down from him originally being a 1-4 minus 400 favourite. Then you have LA Knight available at plus 185 here at mybookie.ag. That's the best price available. He's more widely available at 4-5 plus 150, but at MyBookie right now, he's at plus 185. He was originally the second favourite at 3-1, so he is moving. After that, you have El Grande Americano at 7-2, Solo Sikoa at 5-1, Penta at 9-1, Andrade at 14-1, and a mystery winner at 14-1. I don't think Seth Rollins is winning this match. He's won the Money in the Bank before, very famously, cashed in at WrestleMania 31. And I can see why he's the favourite, because he's the biggest star in this match and him being the world champion is inevitable. But I think he's just going to do it in a regular match. I think he will probably be the one to end Jey Uso's reign. At the moment, though, he's very much tied in with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, and the returning Tribal Chief. When Seth Rollins said, nobody is going to stop me, that I took as a hint that somebody is going to stop you. And it's probably going to lead to a 6-man tag team match in Saudi Arabia where Roman Reigns joins the team of Sami and CM Punk to take on this Seth Rollins crew who remained unnamed. So that opens it up for the rest of the field. And for me, I can't make a case for anyone other than LA Knight. LA Knight has constantly mentioned how he's been in these Money in the Bank matches and has failed to win them. El Grande Americano is involved with the masked wrestlers, and I think he'll continue to face those guys. Solo Sikoa is on the road to something with Jacob Fatu. Now, that doesn't necessarily stop him from winning the Money in the Bank. And for me, he would be the second favourite, and I would sprinkle on him at a better price than this. I'd look for him at 6-1, 7-1, which is available. I don't see Penta or Andrade winning it. I think it's too early in the company for Penta. And Andrade, I think this is just a favour to him just being in this match because he hasn't been on PLEs for a while. So I think for me, LA Knight and Solo are the only winners, but I'm going to go for LA Knight because he's not really busy with anything. I was concerned about this pick when Aleister Black called out his name, but we saw that ended up being a nothing thing over on SmackDown, where Aleister Black actually ended up defending LA Knight and they were taken out by Seth Rollins' crew, who are still unnamed. Maybe we just call them the Visionaries. Maybe we'll call them the Barkatechs. I think about that one for a second. But yeah, they don't have a name, which is weird. But I don't think that they're going to be able to help Rollins win this. They're obviously going to get involved, but I also think other people will be flown into LA to get involved to stop them, namely Sami Zayn and CM Punk, and possibly the return of the Tribal Chief, setting up his return to in-ring action in Saudi Arabia. You know he always goes there. You know they love bringing him in. You know he loves that extra money. And we're actually going to talk about the Tribal Chief over on the Dirty Sheets because there is actually an issue with his contract as well, with TKO looking to cut down as many wages as they can, cut down costs, and Tribal Chief Roman Reigns could be someone who's subject to that. So we're going to talk about that as well over on that free show I'm going to do on the Dirty Sheets. But my pick here is LA Knight at the price of plus 185 over at my bookie. Up next, we'll move on to the women's match where Naomi is the 4-7 favourite. They don't have Roxanne Perez at 2-1, Alexa Bliss at 5-1, Rhea Ripley 6-1, Stephanie Vaquer also at 6-1, Julia at 7-1, and a mystery at 14-1. I think this is wide open. I don't know how you land on Naomi as a favourite. I guess probably because she's worked hard since she's been at the company. She's been here a while, obviously left for a bit and has come back. And maybe people feel that she's due a push. But I can definitely see Triple H getting behind either Vaca or Julia. But whether that will breed some resentment, because they are very new, both have just come up from NXT, and maybe that they'll feel that it's not fair to give them the Money in the Bank. But I can see it. I can also see Money in the Bank. I can see that being a big merchandise item that sells like hotcakes if Rhea Ripley's name is on the Money in the Bank. And we know TKO is all about the money. So I do think there is bigger value on a number of people here other than Naomi, but she hasn't moved. She was established as a favourite, and instead of going in the opposite direction, she's only shortened. Now, somebody else would have moved in this market for me if they were to be the winner. So I don't think that's going to be the case. Whilst Money in the Bank is going to be very marketable, and I can see Vaca and Julia doing big things in this company, I do feel that Naomi will end up winning it as the favourite. Alexa Bliss has had this before, and I'm not someone who picks people to win Money in the Bank multiple times. And Roxanne Perez, I'm just not a fan. And she's not been booked very well since she's come up to the main roster. It almost feels like there is some sort of problem with her, whether it be an attitude problem or something. Something's not been right. For her to be the runner-up at Elimination Chamber and do nothing at WrestleMania and basically lose every match and then be tied into this Judgment Day storyline instead, which is obviously not a bad spot to be in, I just don't see her as a Money in the Bank winner. So I'm ruling out Perez and Bliss, and I think there's value on the other three at 6-1, 6-1, and 7-1, but I do think the odds are right here on Naomi. I just felt that they were too short when they were originally posted, but she's gone from 8-11 to a 4-7 favourite, so now she's pushing minus 200, and when it comes to betting on WWE, usually there is no smoke without fire. So we will close out with the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, where Becky Lynch is a 1-2 -200 favourite, as short as -300 in some places. And Lyra Valkyria here is available at 6-4, but as big as 2-1 +200 in some places. There's no chance in my eyes that Becky Lynch loses twice. The stipulations for this match are Lyra has to raise Becky's hand, or Becky never gets to challenge for the Intercontinental title. Again, both for me are pretty feasible. Becky shouldn't be the Intercontinental champion, but she is going for the female Grand Slam, which is something that would be fitting for the man and her character. And if she doesn't win it here, apparently she can't challenge for it again. And that doesn't mean you can then suddenly go on to the world title, because you can't fail to win the secondary title and then suddenly become a world title challenger after Lyra Valkyria quite clearly wins this feud. She would be the undisputed winner of this feud. So I think Lyra raising Becky's hand means it can continue onwards, and maybe Becky then drops the belt back to her in a series. But I just don't see Becky just losing this and going away and suddenly going on to something else. Maybe she could do something with Billi. Bailey's been off television, and Becky has been bad-mouthing her. And maybe that's the direction, and you can segue onto Billi, and then you can become a world title contender, or you can move back onto this belt once Lyra doesn't have it. But that's just me making cases for the underdog, playing devil's advocate. I do ultimately think Becky will win, and I do think she's a solid parlay piece here for something else. If you like something else that's short on this card, maybe Naomi, maybe Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. I think Becky is a solid piece here if you can find her at 1-2 -200, but I really wouldn't be interested in anything much shorter than that. I think -250 would be as short as I would go here for Becky Lynch winning this Intercontinental Championship tomorrow. Closing out with your lock on the show, I'm going to go for a real value lock here. I'm going to give you something at plus odds, plus 185, so nearly plus 200 if you are going to sign up over at mybookie.ag. And it's well worth doing because it's the best place to bet on WWE. They have all the lines for Money in the Bank, and you can also bet on Worlds Collide. That's a show that's happening in LA before Money in the Bank. That's going to be happening at the Kia Forum. It's a show where WWE combined with AAA, which is a Mexican organization that we've purchased, run by someone I used to work for, Conan, former WCW wrestler. So my bookie really does offer you everything for the WWE, and they're offering you best odds on the lock here. So LA Knight is available around about plus 150, plus 160 in places. Originally opened up at plus 300, so he's moved. But at my bookie, he's available at plus 185. So my lock on this show is going to be to take LA Knight to win the men's Money in the Bank match. He's spoken about how he's failed to win multiple times. That usually points towards him winning. I don't think that Seth Rollins is I do think he's a worthy favourite, given that he's the biggest star in the match, and given how he's been pushed on television, and given that he won the main event of night one at WrestleMania, and given that his group are the main people in Raw, and given the fact that him winning the World Championship is inevitable. But this Money in the Bank win isn't inevitable for me. I don't like to bet on two-time winners. I certainly don't like to bet on somebody winning Money in the Bank again when he's already won it before, and being as short as he is to win it here at -200, originally -400. So LA Knight has been moving. He has all the signs for what I look for in a betting market for when it comes to WWE. And he's also saying everything that you should say on television. LA Knight has done everything the company have asked for him. He's asked of him. He's turned up for appearances. He lost to people he probably shouldn't have lost to. He went over super clean to Nakamura and to Jacob Fatu, and I imagine there were no complaints. And I imagine that has earned him respect behind the scenes. He's also super over with the crowd still. We recently saw Jey Uso rewarded for that because he was over. He has good merchandise sales. And whilst I don't think LA Knight is up there with Jey Uso, he has been consistent. He has been up there in that top 5, top 6. LA Knight glasses are still selling well. The T-shirts are still selling well. And the crowd are super into this guy who, you have to say, does deserve to be a world champion. Whether he has it for a couple of months or whatever, if LA Knight wins this Money in the Bank briefcase and cashes it in, that is going to be a rapturous reception. So I think that's the direction they're going to go in. I think my second pick here would be Solo Sikoa. I think there's value on him, but your lock here on this show is to take LA Knight, available at plus 185 over at mybookie.ag. That's it for me and this Money in the Bank edition of the Fight Show. To get all of my official plays, head over to lockbetting.com. Good luck with all your bets as always, guys, and thanks for listening.